So coming to the introduction of alcohols, the topic for today is alcohols, phenols, and ethers. You all are familiar with what is alcohol group? How do you represent alcohol group? Tell me.
ROH.
R bond OH. So we can write alcohols are compounds containing OH group to the alkyl radical. OH group to the alkyl radical. Say for example, we have methanol, ethanol, propanol, etc. And depending upon what group is the alkyl group, accordingly we name it as methyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol is the common name, which is better called methanol, ethyl alcohol, propyl alcohol by N-propyl alcohol. And likewise, we have different type of alcohols depending upon what alkyl group is present along with the OH. So all these examples that I have given on the board are examples of monohydric alcohols. What are monohydric alcohols? Monohydric alcohols are alcohols containing only one OH group in them, and methyl alcohol, ethyl alcohol, N-propyl alcohol, if you see, all of them have got only one OH group. But alcohols can be further classified as monohydric, dihydric, trihydric, and if more than three are there, generally they are referred to as polyhydric alcohols. Now coming to the nomenclature part of dihydric, trihydric, and above them. So you see, when we are talking about monohydric alcohols like CH3OH, we know that OH group is represented by the term ol, and CH3, for CH3 we use the term methan. It was supposed to be methane, but we will have to drop down the E out of it, because if we do not drop down E out of it, then there will be two continuous vowels E and O, which is not possible. And therefore, we will have to drop the E of the alkane to complete the name. And in general, the monohydric alcohols are referred to as alkanol. But when we have more than one OH group, okay, so there are two carbons in the main chain, and for two carbons, we use the term ethane. The question arises, should we drop down the E of the ethane or not? If I write the name, the thing will be clear, which suggests that we are not supposed to drop down the term E. Why? Because no longer the ol will be directly in contact with E. In between, there is a term di that has been used. So the D or di is not allowing the two vowels to mix up, because of which we can say that in case of dihydric, trihydric, or polyhydric, we need not drop down the E from the term alkane. Likewise, if you have this molecule. Can you suggest me the name for this molecule? How many carbons are there in the longest continuous carbon chain?
3.
3. So for 3, what do we use?
Propane.
Propane. So should I complete the name or should I drop down the E?
So complete the name.
So complete.
You have to complete the name. Why? Because obviously there are 3 OL groups, OH groups. So it will be propane, complete name 1, 2, 3 triol. So in between, as the term T has come, so accordingly, we can use it likewise. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if more than 3 OH groups are there, that will be counted as polyhydric. The glucose is one such example. Glucose has 5 OH groups on it. So if any alcohol has got more than 3 OH group, so they all will be considered as what is called as polyhydric alcohols. So just as in haloalkane chapter, we had classified the haloalkanes on the basis of numbers. Similarly, we have classified the alcohols based on the numbers. And there was another classification in haloalkanes, and that classification was based on the hybridization of the carbon bonded to the OH group. So nothing new in that. So just as the haloalkanes were subdivided into sp3 hybridized carbon, haloarenes had sp2, and apart from that you had allyl, then aryl, benzyl, vinyl. So likewise, everything will be same. So I'm not going to discuss that part, because as such, everything is similar. The only difference that you get is wherever there was halogen, that has been substituted by the OH group now. Rest everything is same. So if say we have carbon bonded to OH, an sp3 hybridized carbon. So what are those alcohols in which the carbon is sp3 hybridized, if it is asked? So obviously we will have all alcohols which are 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. If the 3 positions bonded to the carbon are further occupied by no carbon or 1 carbon, it is 1 degree. If they are attached to 2 alkyl groups, it is 2 degree. And if all the 3 positions are occupied by the alkyl group, then it will be 3 degree, isn't it? Can you recall?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Likewise, we will have allyl alcohols. They also belong to the same category. What is an allyl group? If you take propene and remove the third carbon's hydrogen, any one hydrogen, then this radical is referred to as allyl group. And if you put in OH group to it, then it will be allyl alcohol. Then we have benzyl alcohol. What is a benzyl group? How do we obtain it? If you take toluene and remove one hydrogen from the side chain, you get a benzyl radical. To this, if you put in OH group, then obviously it will be benzyl alcohol. So all these carbons in these molecules which are bonded to OH are sp3 hybridized. And accordingly, we know that sp3 hybridized carbon are relatively less electronegative. So the bond will be more polar. So nothing new. the same thing has been discussed in haloalkane as well. But when we talk about sp2 hybridized carbon, which molecules you are going to get the sp2 hybridized carbon? Phenols, in which the OH group is directly bonded to the benzene ring, and every carbon of the benzene ring are sp2 hybridized, and therefore we are going to get phenols out of them. Vinyl alcohol, what is a vinyl group? If you remove one hydrogen from the ethene, then it gives you vinyl radical, and to this, if you put in OH group, so it is vinyl alcohol. So this way, we have sp3 hybridized carbon molecules as well as sp2 hybridized carbon molecules, and everything is nearly similar to that of what we discussed during the haloalkanes. Sp is not required because as such, we are dealing with alcohols and phenols. If you had a triple bonded carbon bonded to OH, it would be sp, but as such, it is not required. So this is as far as the introduction of alcohols is concerned. Classification of alcohols is concerned on the basis of two criteria, one of which is on the basis of number of OH groups, and the other is based on the hybridization of the carbon bonded to the OH group. Can I rub it and move on further?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh. The next thing that we need to discuss in case of alcohols is isomerism in alcohols. What kind of isomerism is shown by alcohols? Isomerism in alcohols. So you are familiar with the fact that isomerism is a type of phenomenon where the molecules have same molecular formula but different physical and chemical properties, and this difference may be either due to structural difference or it may be due to different arrangement of atoms in space. So accordingly, the isomerism in alcohols can be further categorized into various types. First of all, let us talk about what is chain isomerism. So with the help of examples, I'll try to explain the type of isomerism. Suppose we have CH3, CH2, CH2, CH2OH. So there are 4 carbons in the main chain, and carbon number 1 is attached to OH group. So accordingly, we will name it as butan 1O. Now, if you make some change in the carbon-carbon chain, say we have CH3, CH, CH3, CH2OH. And there are 3 carbons, 1, 2, and 3. And one of the carbon now has been transferred to the substituent site. So if you look at these 2 molecules, in both the cases, the OH group is present at carbon number 1. But the difference lies in the carbon-carbon chain. Whereas in the first example, there are 4 carbons in the main chain, but in the second one, there are 3 carbons in the main chain. So accordingly, The name of this one is 2-methyl propan 1O. 2-methyl propan 1O. So these two are referred to as chain isomers. Why? Because here the arrangement of carbon atoms differs in the carbon-carbon chain. Number 2, position isomerism. So position isomers differ in what respect? The position isomers differ, as the name implies, in the position of the functional group. So suppose again I take butan 1-ol. What is the position of the alcohol group? It is present at carbon number 1. So accordingly, the name will be butan 1-ol again. But if it is asked, what will be the position isomer of butan 1-ol? So just keep the chain intact. Don't make any change in the carbon-carbon chain. There will be still 4 carbons in the straight chain. But if you look at the position of the alcohol group, it has been changed and accordingly it is butan 2-ol. Is it clear? Are you able to understand the differences?
Sir, can you
Sir,
repeat chain
can you repeat?
isomerism?
In chain isomerism, there is a difference in the carbon-carbon chain structure. Here, all 4 were in the straight chain, and here 3 were in the straight chain and 1 is in the branching. But position of the OH group remains intact. In both the cases, it is at carbon number 1 or not?
Yes, sir.
But in the second one, are you making any change in the carbon-carbon chain?
No, sir.
No. All the 4 carbons are in straight chain itself. But what change you are making? What is the change? Where do you get the
The
difference?
position of alcohol.
Yes. So it is the difference of the position of the OH group. Whereas in the first molecule, the OH is at first carbon. In the second molecule, the OH is at second carbon. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Number 3, we talk about functional isomerism. Functional isomerism. In functional isomerism, again, as the name says, there is a difference in the functional group. Now, if you are to give the functional isomer of, say, propan 1-ol. This is propan 1-ol. Then we will have to change the alcohol group as a whole. The functional isomerism should not be alcohol, but it should be some other functional group. And always remember that the functional group which shows isomerism with alcohol is ethers. And that is why ethers have been included in the alcohol chapter. If you count on the number of carbon atoms, it is 3. Here also it is 3. If you count on the number of hydrogen atoms, it is 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, which is 8. Here also it is 3 plus 3 plus 2, 8. And 1 oxygen is there. So remember that if you are asked to write the functional isomer of alcohol, then it has to be an ether. So if these are the 3 carbon atoms to which OH is bonded to carbon number 1, it is propan 1-ol. Ethers are somewhat different. And in ethers, you have oxygen in between two alkyl groups. And how to name the ethers? The ethers are named as alkoxyalkanes. Now, in the term alkoxyalkane, it seems that there are two alkyl groups. So which one will be alkoxy and which one will be alkane? It depends upon the size of the alkyl group. If both the alkyl groups are similar in size, you can take any one of them as alkoxy and any one of them as alkane. But in this particular example, having 1 and 2 distribution, so of course, this is relatively longer or larger. So this will be taken as the parent chain. And oxygen along with methyl group will be called as methoxy. And the name will be 1-methoxyethane. So propan 1-ol and 1-methoxyethane are two functional isomers. Any doubt? Any of the examples? Please tell me.
Sir, functional group isomerism to मैं बुझाई दियो कि
What do you mean by functional group? It is the atom or group of atoms which control the physical and chemical properties. There are various functional groups starting from alcohols, ethers, haloalkanes, aldehydes, ketones. Now, all functional groups cannot show functional isomerism with each other. If alcohol is chosen and it is asked that with what functional group the alcohol is going to show the functional isomerism, let me tell you, both alcohols and ethers share the same general formula of CnH2nO. No other functional group has got this particular general formula, but both ethers and alcohols, they are sharing the same general formula. गतिके alcohol और ether और main difference to की देखा पाइसा? Alcohol और oxygen और एक फाले alkyl group होबो, आरु एक फाले hydrogen होबो ही लगिबो. Otherwise it cannot be an alcohol. But ethers और क्षेत्र oxygen और दुयो फाले alkyl group होबो लगिबो. But because they are isomers, overall number of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen has to be equal. Understood or not?
Yes, sir.
So this is how we can differentiate between alcohols and ethers. Again, I am repeating, in alcohol, out of the two positions around the oxygen, one position must be acquired by hydrogen. But in ethers, both the positions have to be acquired by alkyl groups only. Coming to the nomenclature of ethers, you have to take care that the smaller alkyl group should be counted along with oxygen, making it alkoxy, and the larger alkyl group will be the parent chain, and that will be alkane. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
So all these three types of isomerism that we have discussed is of course structural isomerism. They will not be showing cis-trans isomerism because cis-trans isomerism is shown by alkenes and alcohols are not alkenes. But they can also show optical isomerism provided the carbon bonded to the OH is further bonded to 3 different groups. Then only it will be optically active. And if it is optically active, it can rotate the plane polarized light either towards clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. So it is like saying that in optical isomerism, if an alcohol wants to show optical isomerism, then the carbon bonded to 4 groups should be such that one is reserved for OH because we are talking about alcohol family, and rest 3, say if I put hydrogen to this, methyl to this, ethyl to this, then can we say it is a chiral carbon or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, if another such molecule which is mirror image of it is considered, so what is the name given to such pairs? They are called
Enantiomers.
Enantiomer.
enantiomers. They are called enantiomers. Now let us say that if this one is dextrorotatory, then this has to be levorotatory or not? Or if
Yes,
it is
sir.
levo, it has to be dextro. So if it is asked that, do all alcohols show optical isomerism? Answer is of course no. In order to show optical isomerism, it is mandatory that the alcohol must have a chiral carbon in it and must be bonded to 4 different groups, one of which must be mandatorily OH. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are the 4 different types of isomerism shown by alcohols, 3 of which are structural isomerism, and the 4th one is optical isomerism, which comes under stereoisomerism. So details of optical isomerism we have already discussed. You are familiar with the terms like enantiomers, dextrorotatory, levorotatory, and all those things. Now, coming to naming of the alcohols. So let us try out some question on the basis of nomenclature so that you are capable of understanding them in a better way. So question you write down, write the IUPAC names. Of the following. Number 1, CH3 CHCl, CH3 CH3 CH2OH. So this organic molecule has 2 functional groups, one of which is of course alcohol and the other is halogen. But according to the priority list, alcohol is higher with respect to the halogen atom, and therefore while numbering the carbon atoms of the main chain, you have to give the numbering in such a way so that OH containing carbon gets lower number. Now, as you can see, the OH is present at one corner. So accordingly, this carbon will be carbon number 1, and there can be 5 maximum of carbons in the main chain. So what name would you suggest if you know that there is one chlorine atom, 2 methyl groups? These are to be named first, but you have to arrange them alphabetically. So what do you think will be the name of this molecule?
So 4-chloro-2,3 dimethyl pentane 1-ol.
Very good. So 4-chloro, 2,3 dimethyl, pentane 1-ol. 4-chloro, 2,3 dimethyl, pentane 1-ol. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Try out this one. CH3 CH2 CH CH2Cl, CH, CH2OH, CH, CH3, CH3. Now, which carbon do you think should be numbered as carbon number 1?
So the carbon in the right.
This carbon?
Yes, sir.
No.
Sir,
You have to
OH.
number,
Beta
yes,
also
you have to
have-
number that carbon which contains the OH group in it. Carbon containing OH should get the lowest numbering. Now, when you number this as the longest continuous carbon chain, if I would have chosen this one, then of course it would have been longest with 6 carbons, but would not have contained the OH group in it. So the rule says that you must number the carbon atom in such a way so that the carbon must contain the functional group even though it is smaller in size. So this group that comes out as a substituent must be named. So what name would you suggest to this group? How many carbons are there in this group?
3.
3. But are they all in straight chain?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So what substituent is this that we have discussed in the previous chapter also?
Iso.
Iso what? How many carbons are there? 3. So what will be the
Propyl.
name? Isopropyl. So the name of this group will be isopropyl. So this is at carbon number 2. Isopropyl group is carbon number 2. At carbon number 3, you don't have chlorine alone. If chlorine would have been present alone, I would have used the name chloro. But this chlorine is present on 1 carbon. It means that if there was no chlorine, what name I would have given to this? Of course, methyl, isn't it? But if there is a chlorine on this, then the name of this particular group will be, remember, chloromethyl. That means chlorine is on methyl group, chloromethyl. Now you might ask me that methyl is CH3 group. Why it is CH2 then? Because we cannot keep chlorine if it is CH3. The chlorine has substituted one of the hydrogen of the methyl group so as to maintain the valency of carbon to be 4. Now tell me, if you arrange it properly, what will be the name of the molecule? One of them is chloromethyl, one of them is isopropyl. So how will you arrange it properly and tell me the name? Yes? Anyone who can help me out with the
Sir,
naming?
3 chloromethyl, 2 isopropyl pentan, 1 ol.
Exactly. 3 chloromethyl, because at carbon number 3 there is a chloromethyl group. 2 isopropyl. At carbon number 2 there is an isopropyl group. There are how many carbons in the main chain?
5.
5. Pentan 1. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Instead of CH2Cl, had it been CH2Br, what would have been the name?
Bromomethyl.
Bromomethyl. Bromomethyl. Yes, it would have been bromomethyl. Yes, Jyotirmoy, what's your doubt?
Sir, nothing. Sir, more asile sir doubt.
Oh.
Sir, first question not. Sir, chlorine what are the fluid So fluorine যদি হলে হয় so তেতিয়াহলে স্যার D2 স্যার D2 alphabetical order স্যার D2 লম নে M2 লম
D is not name of the functional group. D is the name of the number of times it is repeated. So that should not be considered.
okay sir
Functional group or alphabet to lobo lagibo. Di, tri, ibilak to functional group na hoy. Hiyoto repetition. Understood?
yes sir
Try out number 3. Let me see. Okay. Try this one out. Think what can be the name. First, tell me how many carbons are there in the longest continuous carbon chain.
sir 4
6.
6
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There can be 6 carbons. Which is carbon number 1?
CH2OH.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. There are 2 substituent groups at carbon number 2 and 5. And there are 2 OH groups. What do you think will be the name of the molecule?
Sir, 2,5 dimethyl hexane 1,3-ol.
2,5 dimethyl. Okay. After that, what did you say?
Hexane 1,3-ol.
sir diol hexane 1,3 diol
Will it be hexane or will it be hexane?
Hexane. Sir.
I told you if the functional group is repeated, you have to complete the name. And you cannot write 1,3-ol because there are 2 OL groups. So it will be 1,3 diol. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then move on to number 4. This is a cycloalkane. Don't confuse it with benzene. It's not benzene ring. Had it been benzene, I would have given 3 alternate single and double bonds. It is a cyclohexane. Now, when you are to name the cycloalkanes, the rules are more or less similar to that of what we do in straight chain compounds. Which carbon of the cycle should be carbon number 1?
OH.
OH containing carbon. Don't number the OH because OH is not carbon. Number the carbon bonded to OH. So accordingly, which carbon will get the bromine to it?
Fifth, 5.
Is it 5 or 3? You have to
3.
count in such a way so that numbering comes out to be lesser. So will it be 3 or 5? 3.
3.
Yes. So this is carbon number 1, this is carbon number 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. So what name would you suggest to this molecule?
So 3-bromo cyclohexane 1-ol.
Very good. 3-bromo. You have to extra put cyclo. Rest everything is same. 3-bromo cyclohexane 1-ol. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Had it been straight chain, I would not have used the term cyclo. Try this one out. Which carbon is carbon number 1? Of course, this. So what name would you suggest to it? Think about it and tell me. There are two groups.
2-bromo 3-methyl propene 2-ol.
You have to mention the position of the double bond as well. 2-bromo 3-methyl is okay. How many carbons in the main chain?
4.
4. So for 4 we write prop or but?
But.
But. What is the position of the double bond?
2.
In between 2 and 3. So but 2 in 1-ol. Please don't complete this name, because as I said that there is only one alcohol group. If there would have been more than one alcohol group, I would have completely written ENE. But you have to drop down the E. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Number 6. CH2 double bond. CH. CHOH. CH2. CH2, CH3. This is easier. Try this one out. Yes, tell me. Where should you start numbering from? Left to right or right to left? So the OH containing carbon gets the lower number.
Sir, left to right.
Left to right. Okay. Now try out the name. There are no substituent groups. You can directly start from the word root. What will be the first term? Yes? Anyone? There is no ethyl, methyl, etc. Hex.
Hex 1 in 3 ol. En.
Okay. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All done? You get some idea
Yes, sir.
regarding nomenclature?
Yes.
Okay. So after introduction of alcohol, isomerism shown by alcohol, nomenclature of some alcohols, along with some other functional groups like double bond and halogen, we now move on to general methods of preparation. Okay, so what are the different ways by which alcohol can be synthesized? To start away with, we first talk about from haloalkanes. So as such, we have done many a times this reaction in the last chapter. You don't require much of details. You are aware of the fact that when haloalkanes are treated with aqueous KOH, they will result in the formation of alcohol and KX. What kind of reaction is this?
So SN2.
Nucleophilic substitution.
Nucleophilic substitution. You cannot say whether it is SN1 or SN2 because I have not mentioned what is R, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if I say R is 1 degree, then you can say it is SN2. And if R is 3 degree, then you can say it is SN1. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thereafter, we directly move on to number 2. By reduction of aldehydes and ketones. By reduction of aldehydes and ketones. Now, before you write down anything, let me explain certain aspects of this reaction. What do I mean when I say reduction in organic chemistry? Reduction has various definitions. It is removal of oxygen, addition of hydrogen, addition of electrons. So many definitions of reduction are there. But in organic, generally when I say reduction, I mean to say that I am adding up hydrogen. See, aldehydes and ketones have common representation of C double bond O, and this group is called a carbonyl group. If you can supply 2 hydrogens around the C double bond O, so that the 2 hydrogen get added up, then you are going to get an alcohol out of it. But you cannot write on the arrow 2H because you know that 2H or 2 nascent hydrogen are something which have to be made available. It is not available. So you are supposed to write some reagent which can give us the 2 hydrogens. but I'm just giving you an idea that when you are adding some reducing agent to aldehyde or ketone, then you are going to get an alcohol as 2 hydrogens will be added up. Now, specifically speaking, when I talk about aldehydes, they are aldehydes, and this is ketone. What difference do you get between aldehyde and ketone? Both of them have common carbonyl group. But whereas in aldehydes, at least one of the position around the carbon must have hydrogen in it. Whereas in ketones, there is no scope for any hydrogen. Both positions must be occupied by alkyl groups. Now, if you add a reducing agent that can provide 2 hydrogens, as usual, I can write it as RCH2OH. And if same thing is carried out for ketone, you get this. What is the nature of the alcohol that is being produced? Are they different? And if they are different, in what respect they are different? Tell me. What kind of alcohol is this? And what kind of alcohol is this?
So 1 degree and 2 degree.
Very good. Yes. So aldehydes give us 1 degree alcohols, whereas ketones give us 2 degree alcohols. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Now the question arises, where from these nascent hydrogens will come? Or hydrogens will come? What reagents should be accordingly taken? The reducing agents used for this purpose can be hydrogen in presence of nickel, can be sodium in presence of ethanol, can be lithium aluminum hydride, or sodium borohydride. Any one of the reducing agents will provide you the 2 hydrogens, and that is going to convert the aldehydes to 1 degree alcohols and ketones to 2 degree alcohols. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
In the exam, what will be given on the arrow is not 2H. In the exam, what will be given will be any one of them. And you have to understand that because they all are reducing agents, so their job is to supply hydrogens. So 2 hydrogens are required for this purpose. Therefore, we can say that they will give rise to 1 degree alcohol or 2 degree alcohol, depending upon what kind of carbonyl compound you have taken. Have you written it down?
Yes, sir.
So can we prepare 3 degree alcohols by this process? Aldehydes and ketones can give us 3 degree alcohols or not? What do you think? Yes, just now whatever reactions we have discussed, did we get 3 degree alcohols?
No, sir.
Not at all. So write down aldehydes and ketones undergo reduction with suitable reducing agents such as hydrogen slash nickel, LiAlH4, NaBH4, or sodium borohydride. Oh, this I have already written. Or sodium in presence of ethanol to produce 1 degree and 2 degree alcohols respectively. So when I say respectively, it means aldehydes provide us 1 degree and ketones provide us 2 degree. So you can give one example of an aldehyde. So I give hydrogen in presence of nickel. The product will be CH3CH2OH, which is a 1 degree alcohol. And had it been a ketone like acetone, then upon treatment with any one of the reducing agent, you are going to get 2 degree alcohol. So whereas the first one is 1 degree, the second one is 2 degree. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I hope all have written.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So after completion of 2 methods of preparation, we now move on to number 3. By reduction of carboxylic acids and esters. So again, when we talk about reduction of carboxylic acids and esters, I would like to mention certain things. Carboxylic acids, as you know, is RC double bond OH. And esters are RC double bond OR dash. This is an ester, this is a carboxylic acid. Now previously, when we were dealing with aldehydes and ketones, you carried out reduction, fine. But the reduction required was not much because the aldehyde and ketone had one oxygen in them. And therefore, the reduction was not so required was not so strong. But here, both in carboxylic acids and esters, you have 2 oxygens. Okay. So when we are talking about the 2 types of compounds, so we need to carry out stronger reduction. Stronger reduction koribo lagibo. For that, we need to reduce it with 4 hydrogens. And again, these 4 hydrogens should come from a suitable reducing agent. And that is going to provide us 1 degree alcohol plus water, and here 1 degree alcohol and alcohol. Just give me 1 minute time. I'm coming back. Okay. So here, what I was saying is, when you have a carboxylic acid or when you have an ester, so you need to supply 4 hydrogens to them. And again, it is coming from reducing agents. But here, not all reducing agents will be helpful. You have to take stronger reducing agent, like that of lithium aluminum hydride and sodium in presence of ethanol. Others are not going to, you can say, convert them to the alcohol. So the question arises, why 4 hydrogens are required now? And previously, why only 2 hydrogens were sufficient? So I told you that 2 hydrogens are required around C double bond O, which can convert it into CHOH. And other hydrogens are required because during this particular reaction, this bond undergoes cleavage. As you can see, this bond will undergo cleavage, this bond will undergo cleavage. Now, this particular fragment that is coming out requires some support. In what form it is requiring support? So the 4 hydrogens that you are giving, 3 of them will be utilized for the left hand bond and 1 hydrogen will be required for the right hand side. So both will give rise to 1 degree alcohols. You don't get 2 degree alcohols by this method. And as I said, that the reducing agent used should be either lithium aluminum hydride or sodium in presence of ethanol. But previously, you could have used to anyone. And this is how we can carry out the reduction of carboxylic acids and esters also to get the alcohols. Understood or not?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So which require stronger reduction, aldehydes, ketones, or carboxylic acids and esters?
Carboxylic acid and esters.
Why? Why do you think they require stronger reducing agents? Because they contain how many oxygen in them?
2.
2 oxygens. And in case of aldehydes and ketones, they had only 1 oxygen. Okay. Carboxylic acids are reduced to 1-degree alcohols in presence of strong reducing agent lithium aluminum hydride So when I take RCOH and treat this with lithium aluminum hydride, the product obtained is RCH2OH. Esters are also reduced to 1-degree alcohols along with reduced 1-degree alcohols and give a mixture of alcohols. Now, why will it form a mixture of alcohols? Because if you take an ester and treat this with lithium aluminum hydride, or you can use here sodium in presence of ethanol as well. Here you are getting alcohol from the left hand side as well as alcohol from the right hand side as well. But here you are getting water from the right hand side. So lithium aluminum hydride, remember, is a very, very important reducing agent, and almost whenever you carry out reduction, lithium aluminum hydride is used. But it is very expensive. So it is used in very, very small amount. But while writing, obviously, you need not worry about it because nothing is coming out of your pocket. And therefore, we can use lithium aluminum hydride as a reducing agent in almost all different types of reduction. So aldehydes and ketones require 2 hydrogen for reduction. Carboxylic acids and esters require 4 hydrogen that will come from these reducing agents. But as you can see in the previous example, the number of reducing agents used were more. You were using hydrogen in presence of nickel. You were using sodium borohydride, NaBH4. But here we are using only stronger reducing agent. And for carboxylic acid, even sodium in presence of ethanol will also not work out. So carboxylic acid can be reduced only with LiAlH4. And this is not for the first time we are getting this reaction where carboxylic acid is converted to 1-degree alcohol. We got it for the first time this year while doing the conversions, isn't it? Do you remember when we did step up and step down conversions, this equation was used to convert carboxylic acid to alcohols, or forgotten?
Yes, sir.
No. And if you want to just revert the reaction, if you want to convert 1-degree alcohol to carboxylic acid, what was the reagent? Can anybody recall? Conversion of carboxylic acid to alcohol is reduction. And conversion of alcohol to carboxylic acid is an oxidation process. So what was the reagent used to convert 1-degree alcohol to carboxylic acid?
Sir, K2Cr2O7.
/H+, isn't it? potassium dichromate in acidified medium. You must remember these equations. Done?
Yes, sir.
Oh. So thereafter, we'll move on to the fourth very important reaction. And I request all of you to focus on the reaction. It's not very difficult, but don't miss out any point. Number 4, by reaction of aldehydes and ketones with Grignard's reagent. By reaction of aldehydes and ketones with Grignard's reagent. By now, you all are familiar with what is Grignard's reagent. By now, you are also familiar with aldehydes and ketones have one thing in common. And what is the common thing in the carbonyl group? Suppose I take aldehyde or ketone, any one of them, and treat this with Grignard's reagent. So we have already discussed that Grignard's reagent is highly reactive compound. Which part of the Grignard's reagent has partial negative and which part has partial positive charge? Tell me. And this is very important. We cannot proceed further if you're not aware of it. Which part of Grignard's reagent? R is
Partially positive.
R is positive or negative? R is negative. That is why he was awarded Nobel Prize, because R becoming positive is very common scenario. But the moment you are joining R with magnesium, so R develops delmions. Now, out of these two, oxygen is more electronegative. So oxygen will develop partial negative charge. Carbon will develop partial positive charge. But this bond is not going to break down completely because there are two bonds. This bond is completely breaking down because there is a single bond. Now tell me, oxygen is going to invite which particular part and carbon is going to invite which particular part? Oxygen will invite what?
MgX.
Oxygen will take MgX and carbon will take
R.
R. Okay, so this is an unstable compound and it needs to be hydrolyzed in acidic medium. And when you are hydrolyzing it in acidic medium, how the reaction is going on? So this is water. Water is hydrolyzing it. That means it is breaking it down in this manner. So wherever you had OMGX will be substituted by OH and the byproduct will be MgOHX. So you get an alcohol. And during this whole process, if you need to write it all together without writing the intermediate, which is unstable, I can also represent this equation as this treated with Grignard's reagent followed by H3O plus. So I have given both the reagents so that directly we need to draw the products. So what is happening? The two bonds that were associated with carbon, they are not affected during the process. Whatever groups were there, they remain as such. Double bond O is converted to single bond OH. That is what we have written. And when double bond becomes single bond OH, carbon's valency is 4. So one valency opens up to invite the alkyl group coming from the Grignard's reagent. See whether you have understood this reaction or not. If not, please clarify, because in one way or the other, this equation is asked.
So can you repeat?
During this process of addition of Grignard's reagent followed by hydrolysis, what are the changes occurring? The two groups which were initially present with carbon remains as it is. They are not undergoing any change. The C double bond O converts to C single bond OH, thereby opening up one valency for carbon, which is taken by the alkyl group coming from the Grignard's reagent. Okay. This is the gist of the two-step process. Let me give you an example. Suppose you have a carbonyl compound. One side is methyl, other side is ethyl. It is treated with Grignard's reagent, CH3MgBr, followed by hydrolysis. And if you are asked to write down the final product, so how you are going to write down the product? These two groups which were initially present, will they be affected or remains unaffected?
Remains unaffected.
That means it will remain as methyl. This will remain as ethyl. What will happen to the C double bond O?
Double bond breaks.
No, no, no. I'm talking about the final product. What is happening to C double bond O?
OH.
It is converted to C single bond OH. So one of the valencies of carbon is vacant, isn't it? Who will be taking this position?
CH3.
CH3.
CH3. Understood or not?
Yes, sir.
So here the C double bond O is converted to C single bond OH, and the alkyl group from Grignard's reagent will be joining the carbon. So this is what is to be given when both Grignard's reagent and hydrolysis is provided together. But the original equation that I have given, I have shown you step by step. This intermediate product is unstable and finally gets converted to this. So writing this and writing this are same. The only difference is here, I have shown you altogether what is happening. But result is very important to us, and we must understand what is actually happening during the reaction. The two groups that were present remains unaltered. C double bond O is converted to single bond OH, and the alkyl group will come and join to carbon. Understood now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So write down carbonyl compounds which are aldehydes or ketones add up Grignard's reagent to produce unstable addition product that upon hydrolysis gives alcohols. Formaldehyde, the first member of aldehyde family, gives 1 degree alcohol. Formaldehyde ki dibo 1 degree alcohol. Keneke dibo? What is formaldehyde? If both the positions are occupied by hydrogen around C double bond O, it is called formaldehyde or methanol, the first member of aldehyde family. Now, if it is treated with any Grignard's reagent followed by hydrolysis, tell me what will be the product? Both the hydrogens will be unaffected or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What will happen to C double bond O?
It will break down to form OH.
Why will it break down?
I mean,
It will
the
get converted to
double bond
single
will
bond OH.
to single bond.
And what group will come in?
R.
R.
What is the nature of this? Alcohol, 1 degree, 2 degree, or 3 degree?
1 degree.
1 degree.
The OH containing carbon is further linked to only one alkyl. Other aldehydes, give 2 degree alcohols. Other aldehyde means what? If one position is occupied by R, other position is occupied by H, then also it is aldehyde. But of course, it is not formaldehyde. Now, if this is treated with Grignard's reagent, say R-MgX, followed by hydrolysis, tell me what will be the product? This R and H will be intact or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Double bond O will be converted to OH. And what group is coming from Grignard's reagent?
R
R
dash.
dash.
Added.
What kind of alcohol is this? Is it not 2 degree?
4 degree.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ketones give 3 degree alcohols. Now, ketones are what? They already have 2 alkyl groups. Let us say R dash. It is treated with Grignard's reagent R double dash MgX, followed by hydrolysis. So, what do you think will be the product? These 2 groups will remain intact or not? Double bond O will be converted to single bond OH. And what group will be coming from the Grignard's reagent? Is it not 3 degree alcohol now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it means that in the previous methods of preparation, either you could prepare 1 degree or 2 degree alcohols. 3 degree was not possible. But the advantage of the Grignard's reagent method is you can prepare all 3 types of alcohols, whether it be 1 degree, 2 degree, or 3 degree. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So it is not difficult to understand what exactly is happening. Let me show you with the help of a very simple example. That suppose you have a carbonyl group and it is associated with circle, square, and there is a Grignard's reagent which is associated with triangle. And you are asked that what happens when it is treated with Grignard's reagent followed by hydrolysis. What do you think? Carbon will be bonded to 4 groups, one of which will be OH. Other 3 will be this or not?
Yes,
Isn't
sir.
it? Now the circle, square and triangle that I have given you just for understanding purpose are nothing but alkyl groups, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope it is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Oh.
sir.
So remember this. So next day we'll continue further with reactions of preparation of alcohols, because 2 to 3 reactions are still remaining that will complete the preparation of alcohol part. Thank you. Good night, all of you.
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.